This is Chris Mooneyham of Five Ghosts, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
Oh, boy. We're going to leave that in.
This is Chris Mooneyham of Five Ghosts, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
This is Frank Barbieri, the talent behind Five Ghosts, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics. I said comments.
And there we go. That wonderful, uncomfortable silence that precedes an episode. Yeah, no, this is an inside joke from last week. When I said go last week, Jason just was very quiet. I'm just like, dude, you've been doing this for 16 years. God, I haven't done anything for... Well, yes, I have. That's not true. But I've done very few things for 16 years. Straight. We should pump that more. 16 years.
Yeah.
Uninterrupted podcast.
It's crazy. I was thinking about it since we all applied for our 2024 New York Comic Con press badges. You have to talk about your show, and I was like, 16 years, never missing a week, dude.
No, I'm not one to toot my horn, but I think that's a big get. That's a big thing.
Whenever in any sort of conversation, if comics comes up or even the podcast, that's one of the first things I mention is the fact that we've been doing it as long as we have, and we have not missed a week.
Right, because that's something everybody can understand. They may not get the comics. They'll say, "Oh, like the Marvel movies," and they're like, "Yeah,
right.
like the Marvel movies." But they instantly understand doing something for 16 years straight every week. Like that's just universal, right? And that proves that we're here for you people. 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 927, another week. And I'm Vince B.
You are Vince B. And I'm here for my second episode in a row, David A. Price.
This is true, you motherfracker, because I, of course, am Captain Lee Apollo Adama.
Wow.
I kind of wish I started it before Prime started doing ads.
Oh, well.
No, you're not Captain.
Down to $4, dog.
You're not Captain Adama. Your complexion is much clearer. You're Jason Wood.
Dude, Lee's the son. He's a very handsome man. Jamie Bamber.
Oh, I've never seen that show. So
Edward James almost is Admiral William Adama.
Oh, see, I'm ignorant because I've never seen it. But you're neither.
Fucking art.
So,
Jesus Christ!
I heard it didn't end well.
It ended great. What? Who told you that?
You think I Lost because you always talk about.
Oh no, I from experience I know that one didn't end well. But yeah, no. But yeah, okay. Hey, you know what? If you're out there and you're looking for omnibus editions or trade paperbacks or manga or art books or OGNs, one place stands out above all of the rest. Why? Because you get the stuff dirt cheap. It's in the name, cheapgraphicnovels.com. Cheapgraphicnovels.com have everything, all that stuff, at a fraction of what's printed on the cover. You will laugh at retail prices because you're smart and you know where to go where the prices are low. Just get your ass to cheapgraphicnovels.com. You're going to save a lot. And I'll tell you at the end of the show how to get free shipping.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Keep them waiting.
They already know. But those that don't, stick around, because Santa Vince is going to make your day. Well, not me, Max, but hey, I'll take the credit for it. I don't care.
Ho, ho, ho.
I need to do a little lead-in. Do-ding. What's Dap drinking?
Well, I enjoyed it so much, and I haven't finished a bottle yet. And this is the Pinot Noir from the previous episode, Monte degli Angeli, for 91 points from James Suckling.
Nice.
Suckling now.
Knew it was coming.
It's got a goddamn serial number on the link. Jesus.
Wow. I don't even have to make a beat. All I have to do is just go back to our plethora. I could jump into the archives and just capture the sound of Jason popping open a can. Because it happens.
You know what? You know, there's little things about you as the producer that we don't sing enough the praises for you. I was so taken by the fact that you used the Brian Hurt intro on the episode where we talk about
Dude, I do that all the time.
I know,
yes.
but it's just the most recent example of it. And I thought,
Right.
that's really lovely that he does that.
If a name is dropped within the confines of an episode, not extensively, not the folk, but in this case it was, I will pull that intro from the vaults and use it to head off the show. It just makes sense in a conceptual continuity standpoint.
That's wonderful. And we're going to get mad bumpers in like 3 weeks.
We need them. We need them because I'm tired of
Yeah.
trying to find ones that we haven't used
Yeah.
many times. So, yeah.
We got to try and get Buckingham, try and get Alan Davis,
Ooh.
Dan
yeah.
Jurgens,
try and get Stelfreeze.
Ron Friends.
Klaus Janson.
Well, we could get him to do it for sure. He's one of
No,
the
have?
no. When we asked him to do it, he didn't want to do it.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, "Oh, I will not." Whatever he is.
Yeah.
Do you know that? I don't know if you know. Well, you probably wouldn't know this, Vince, because you're not in the socials and aren't in the art game. But Mahmoud is part of Essential Sequential now.
Nice. We have a ton of Mahmoud.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, we have at least
I'm just
4.
saying because he was like one of
He
the.
landed, yeah.
He was one of the many friends of ours that used to be repped by Cadence that is looking
Right.
at homes, and he joined the Essential crew. Dude, you know what happened? So you know what our boy Felix just put up for auction.
I saw people going willy-nilly, but I didn't see the actual focus of the willy-nilliness. What was it?
The Mooneyham G.I. Joe.
Oh, right.
Yes.
You in on that or no?
We'll see. Stay tuned.
Yeah, there's a couple of really beautiful. Well, there's more than a couple, but there's a couple pages I in particular would not mind owning, but I don't ride that road. So
For sure.
yeah. Suffice to say, the Real American Hero book is visually stunning.
Yes.
Yes. Indeed.
It don't make a whole bunch of sense, but
No goddamn sense. No goddamn sense.
And I understand that, the minis are all meant to lead into something larger. I just kind of wish. I mean, each of them. I mean, the Duke, the Cobra Commander now, and I mean, obviously Scarlett just started, but I kind of just want something sort of complete, like on its own, where it's not so obvious that
it's coming.
It's obviously a launch. I know it is, and listen, and I mean, if I'm in the minority there, that's fine. I mean, I get to the end of that 5th issue, and I'm just like, but it's not over. Like it's the last issue of this, but it's not over. And I trust me, I get it because growing up reading Marvel and DC, nothing fucking ever ends. But these are a finite, they're limited series, and if that's at the end of the story, again, I know it's leading into something larger because of what they're doing. But after you read one, and then you get to the end of the next one, it's just like, wow, it's just this is rinse, lather, repeat.
you just described the first 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's basically what they did. They had stories, but they were all leading into the end.
Well, sure, no,
Yeah.
right, yeah. They I mean, all the Avengers movie, the solo movies ended up leading to the Avengers, and you had the stingers, the teases at the end during the credits. So of course, you've
how
got,
many years did we have to wait for Lord of the Rings to be done?
Well, that was I mean, we got one every year, but that was, we knew that because that was the whole point of the trilogy. But no, like I said, I get it. I know that these are all, but it's not like there's a banner on top of it, like it's tying or anything like that. It's just
persnickety over here.
I am.
That's
What
okay.
happens when you miss some time?
Well, I thought Destro #1 was the bomb. We got the review copy.
Yeah, I didn't read
I
it
don't know
yet.
where-
It was good?
I
Yeah, I
didn't
don't
read
know.
that
I don't know
yet.
that we're allowed to talk about it yet, other than to give general comments.
Right. I thought it.
We're
well, I did.
embargoed, but it was I enjoyed it very much.
I paged through. I didn't read it, but the art's very good.
Yes.
But yeah,
agreed.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, I that was. I mean, while I enjoyed the first half of Dark Ride, the art absolutely was a Bader's bonus for that. So when I saw that he was also going to be drawing Destro, I was really looking forward to it.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah. I have a tiny bone to pick with Jason too.
Oh my God.
No, as applied to the G.I. Joe books, Scarlett in particular. I don't.
Oh, well, this is a Nation of Jason's consortium decision. This is not a Jason Wood decision.
Well, I know y'all weren't thrilled with Marco Ferrari's art on this book. And
on Scarlett #1.
Yeah, I got to say, I think you're just crazy.
Yeah, I like it.
You made the point. Yeah, you made that point in the thread.
Yeah, I said you need a new optometrist, but I love this art. I like that it's...
Now you're going to love. Now we're miles apart.
Dude, the body language in this book is impeccable.
Okay, cool. I mean, listen, the art is subjective. I mean, what? You know,
it is. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And
it's not the kind of art I want to see. This is very much a case of I am down for this art in lots of other comics. I do not want to see a JoJo book in this style.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand that. I do like the art a lot. And some of the figure work is amazing. But the
dude knows how to distribute weight. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. It's I wasn't expecting it to be so manga-esque, but I'm not mad at it. I just wish that I knew downloading the preview that more than half of it was just going to be fucking nonstop covers. But
what is up your ass tonight?
It's like he paid for them. Like
yes,
Skybound owes him. No. He owes him money or something.
Oh, listen, the last thing Kirkman is going to worry about is whatever the hell I have to say about his stuff.
Yeah. There's a couple of there's a double page splash that's actually very Frank Miller-esque in this thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, you definitely felt inspired. I have to say I'm with David on the idea that, like, and again, who am I to question Kirkman and fucking Skybound? They're doing all right. I think they know what they're doing. I mean, they've raised like an ungodly amount of private capital. But anyway, but it just seems a little weird to me. Like, okay, you want to make the decision to not do a titular G.I. Joe book right away. And like you say, like we've talked about, we have these series of mini-series that are basically an ongoing story. I'm with that. Like, cool, okay. But it's really weird to have these books that are in a new universe, which will eventually lead to a G.I. Joe book, and then also at the same time launch or relaunch the ongoing Hama rights, which is in the quote-unquote original continuity. Because if you're showing up at a comic store and you aren't an uber nerd like us or most of our listeners that get previews or look at solicits, and you're like, oh, I heard Skybound's doing G.I. Joe, you're going to find the book on the shelves that says G.I. Joe, right? So it is very confusing because the G.I. Joe we're going to get in probably another 6 months is going to be vastly different than what Hama's doing. So it is a weird decision to only have one book on the stands that has nothing to do with this Entertainment universe. You know what I mean? It does feel weird to me.
I agree. Because the uninformed are just going to look at the title. Oh, G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. This is what I want. And they're going to get, Zombie Cobra. And it's not going to tie into anything.
And that is where a solidly run comic shop is key, because at least the people behind the counter will be able to point everybody in the right direction. So I mean, I'm hoping, I'm sure that they're probably banking on some of that, but still, you really don't want to. As paltry as readership is, the last thing you really want to do is make it more of an obstacle to get people to be interested in your product.
But from a merchandising standpoint, that person that walks in looking for G.I. Joe is going to be given the Duke miniseries, the Cobra Commander. So it's not one book. It's, 12, 13, 14 issues that they're going to have to read.
And that's
pretty smart.
Exciting about, starting something before, like getting in before the full-blown series begins. All these little lead-ins. I grew up buying tie-ins to events and things like that, so I get it. But yeah, there's a lot there. It just might feel or look, just judging on the covers, a bit disjointed, except for the fact that, not that I mean, IDW did it too. They had that Chuckles miniseries. They had their own one shots and minis going on with the regular GI Joe book, but it was also kind of like a shared continuity. Whereas this one, because you got the Larry book, and then you have everything else, as we've already mentioned, they're all separate.
Right. I kind of like this approach, but the novelty of it combined with the very high level, high caliber artists and writers that are on it, I'm fine with it. But again,
yeah, I'm not upset about having things to read. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I have not been a regular reader of GI Joe for many, many years, so I'm good. This is fun.
Yeah, I mean,
nice.
Since or even before Firepower, but I mean, since Firepower, this is I don't think I've had more Skybound related books on my reading lists in since ever. So
all right, yeah,
doing something.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I haven't read the new issue of Void Rivals yet, but I'm going to get on that.
Oh,
Same.
dude, yeah. You need to read.
What's after Destro? Baroness? What did they do? I mean, do we know? Have they announced anything after
No,
Destro?
I actually think that after Destro, that's when the Joe
It's the main-
series is.
Okay.
I mean, we haven't got. If there is more to come, we haven't heard it. But it would be kind of crazy to me to have the license for 18 months before you put out a GI Joe book.
That's true.
So I'm gonna assume after Destro and Scarlett wrap up, we're gonna get GI Joe.
Well, technically, it doesn't say GI Joe on the cover, but we did get a glimpse of the Joe book in the Energon 2024 special.
Right.
Yeah.
Special, yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to get this out of the way because I don't want to hear Jason groan.
What, Blood Hunt?
No. Oh, that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up because to me, Blood Hunt is enjoyable. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say that I don't get anything out of the book. Obviously, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes. Again, I would buy a Tigra book in a second.
Well, apparently she's been in Moon Knight.
Yeah.
She's been in Moon Knight for you.
Well, I want it drawn by Pepe Larraz.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yes. But the real joy of this Blood Hunt event for me are the offshoots. And I've read all of them today. Yes, all of them. And the only one I really want to talk about as being exceptional, like they were all good, they were all fun. Yes, it's fine. I still don't buy that Blade would just suddenly turn like this.
We don't know. We don't know we don't know what's been going on.
Exactly. I get it. But the one that really made me stand back and say, "Wow, that was exceptional," was Union Jack the Ripper. Number 1.
I haven't read it yet.
You just gave Justin a chubby. Yeah, I need to check that one out too.
Okay, I won't get into the plot, but all I have to say is it's drawn by Kev Walker.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
And,
sold.
And the inkers, Craig Young and Bellardino Bravo, they impart almost a Mignola edge to Kev Walker's work. I mean, Kev Walker works in heavy darks to begin with. So I think the inkers just ran with that fact. And this book visually is absolutely stunning and perfect. But
shout out to Craig Young because he listens to the show, or at least did at some point, because I bought some domino pages from him that he inked over Michael Shelfer, and he had heard our podcast at that time. Again, I don't know if he's still listening, but if you just shout out to him. Yeah.
Great job, Craig. The conceit is there, the Blood Hunt conceit in which the Earth has sun's been blacked out, and vampires are running rampant, and so we're over in Britain now, right? And it is just brutal as hell. Throats being ripped out. There's something chained in the basement. That's awesome. I mean, I don't want to get into it because you didn't read it, but I thought this was a great B-movie spin on what's going on with Blood Hunt. And it was a joy. Every page was a joy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. That wasn't my thing.
Like I said last week with events, like we all have earned the right to find most Big Two events to be exhausting and uninteresting. So much like there are certain films or musicians or comics or books that I'm sure we all have that if you tell me you don't like it, I'm going to think less of you as a human. But there's lots more things where I realize it's subjective. Like, I enjoy most of the Fast and the Furious movies, but they're not high art. I'm not going to be offended by anybody who doesn't like them or thinks they're bad. Similar to this, anyone that tried Blood Hunt and it just wasn't for them, I totally get it. Like, if you're not a big vampire fan, right? If you're not feeling real great about the core Marvel superhero universe right now, like, this is going to just be like, here's the next event, insert vampires. I get it. Now, I just happen to love vampires disproportionately and read almost any vampire comic that hits the stands. So right. For me, this is like one of the events that I'm like, I think is fun, just simply because of that. Just like you might get off on a symbiote event, like I
sure,
just like
sure.
It's got that little extra splash of sauce that makes you interested. But I also recognize that splash that makes me interested is likely the saltpeter for a big chunk of readers. So that's fine.
Right. It's just some of the trappings of the whole Blood Hunt thing. Just I find them tiresome. Like the fact that the Avengers have essentially a satellite. What's it called? The Fabulous City or something like that?
Fantastic, or the Impossible City.
The Impossible City. It's like, bruh, the JLA did that decades and decades ago. Like, it's nothing novel.
That's true.
It's
you
kind of,
you got to blame the writer on that. It's
just kind of tiresome. I don't know. Visually, it's impeccable. So that's what's driving me through this Blood Hunt thing. That the images that are meeting my eyes are just so gorgeous and just extremely pleasing to me that I will progress.
Yeah.
I think they could have easily swapped Peter Parker for Miles Morales, and I would have been better. But whatever. I mean, that's whatever. I have a problem with the new characters. I do.
Such a random comment.
No, I mean at the end of issue 2, it's like, oh wow, that's great.
It would have been added to the story because
because
Miles didn't know who all these people were. It's like
he could be the he can be the eyes and ears for the uninitiated. I mean, you know where I stand with Miles. I have no problem with him being part of this, and it's God forbid, what everything else Peter's got going on in his life, whatever. And it's not like his own. It's not like we don't have an amazing Peter Parker Blood Hunt tie-in. So I mean that exists. He's
that
just
we
not
do.
He's just not one of the characters that are in the roll call. And I have no problem with you wanting a Tigra book, or Tigra, as long as it's a flip book with Brielle Brooks on the flip side. Then Pepe can draw both, and I'll be happy.
Respect. Yeah, like I said, I mean, she's been one of the main components of the Moon Knight book for some time. So, makes sense, right? I mean, anytime one of these guys gets a chance to do an event, it makes sense. It stands to reason that they take the characters that they had runs on previous to that, or at the time, and make them featured parts of the book. So,
yeah.
What you want to?
I mean,
Dap, you want to see a Blade's Daughter book?
Drawn by Pepe, absolutely.
Oh, well, see, when you couch it in drawn by Pepe, then yeah. Like I have no attachment to this character whatsoever.
Oh, this is the first time I've seen her.
I'm
just been around for a couple of years, but
that's the thing. I'm tired of everybody having a child. Or
he's been around for how long?
No, I know, but it's just like, oh, this is Blade's daughter. Within this book, we have Lobo's daughter. Like, just stop it.
But this is, I mean,
grumpy old man time.
Seriously, I mean,
I don't care. They don't have any staying power with me, and I'm not interested enough in the concept to know these characters. That's what I'm saying.
But you've also have written off Big Two books countless times in the past years we've been doing this show. So I mean, if it's not like Marvel and DC can depend on you to keep reading
definitely not the
old legacy
characters.
So I mean, they need to do this. They need to bring in Miles. They need to bring in
I get it.
Crush.
Yeah. There's a time when you have to sit back and like there's been many
I had to do it with fucking Rainer. So yeah,
it's been said many times, the world has moved on. Comics have moved on, and I'm okay with that. But I just look at the list of characters that I could not give a hoot about. Spider-Boy, Brielle, like Miles, whatever, Smash, Crush, Bash. What's her name? Lobo's daughter.
Crush.
Like, I just don't care. I don't.
But you're okay with Damian Wayne.
Whatever.
Tim Drake's all right, though.
Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, fuck them Drake, though.
I just,
all day, every day.
Yeah, I mean, I just, whatever. I'm coming off bad no matter what I say. So,
No, listen, I mean, trust me. We've all three
And
of us have
again,
been critical over
like
the years.
Hunter's
It's
Moon.
Not a surprise.
This Hunter's Moon character, extremely derivative.
Yeah, I have no idea what its
like,
connection
why?
is to Moon Knight, other than the fact that it's part of a Moon Knight.
Did the Moon Knight fan base, all three of them at the back of the Perkins, demand that somebody come up with another Moon Knight character? Like, what? I don't get it.
Listen, a lot of our listeners right now are cursing at you. That's because a lot of our slackers love Moon Knight.
I know. Marvel's Batman. I get it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Now, admittedly, I did not know who Hunter's Moon was until the first issue of Blood Hunt, and I did look him up on the interwebs and find out that he's been pretty much the other main character in the Moon Knight book, and it's basically the other fist of Khonshu. And
Khonshu does have two fists.
He's got two fists.
So yeah, two fists. But it actually sounded pretty cool, and I love the character design, so I'm here for it. I mean, again, I don't read Moon Knight regularly, so like I'm not going to be put off by there being another Moon Knight. Like that's fine for me,
right?
So,
and to, again, to quote Brian Salazar, I don't have to show you on the doll where Marvel touched me, right? It's not an affront to me. I just gauge my level of involvement with these things based on what characters appear within, right? So you got Vision and Scarlet Witch and Tigra and Cap and Iron. Okay, I'm great with all that, but it's just once you start going down the chain, you get these new characters in there. My interest wanes.
It's funny, the thing I would have thought you'd be most put off by, and it's frankly the one thing I nitpick about this book is, and it's not a new thing for this book, but it just bums me out that they now have this super Witcher-looking version of Dracula. The Marvel Dracula is now this superhero.
That's from X-Men. That goes way back.
No, I know, but I'm saying to me, you had perfection, just like you always talk about. Like we had Dracula as Dracula in the best Dracula stories Marvel's ever done. So
right, but
I would prefer to see him that way. But
yeah, me too. But if you're going to integrate Dracula into a story that's basically featuring the Avengers, Jack Palance, Dracula's not going to cut it.
Fair enough. I get it.
You got to update the visuals, right?
Listen, Sanford drew all the greatest Marvel heroes fighting Galactus, and Howard the Duck was right up in there.
Right.
I'm just saying. So you can.
Oh, Howard's an Avenger according to the MCU. So,
but I don't understand how an anthropomorphic duck and Jack Palance are anywhere related, but okay.
No, I'm saying the classic look that it maybe would feel like it doesn't would be fine because it's the classic look. That's all I'm saying.
One, you got the drive-in, and the other is the Francis Ford Coppola updated armor, sleek, long-haired, imposing Dracula. That was the thing about Dracula. He looked just like a bon vivant, like he was a very stylish nobleman, and he didn't look much like a threat. This guy's definitely a threat. Like, he's imposing, right? So, I don't know. I get it. But we've been so sidetracked. Yes. I have something that I love. This series gets more jaw-dropping with every issue. And it is safe to say that the explorations that go on within these pages are not repeated anywhere else in the comic industry. It's a singular entity. You know what you're getting when you open that cover. Written by W. Maxwell Prince. Illustrated by Martin Morazzo. With color by Chris O'Halloran. It's Ice Cream Man 39. Did either of you read this?
No.
It's insane because it is a story about decompressed storytelling. And Prince has the audacity to drag it over the course of 2 issues. This is only the first part. The events that propel the narrative take place in the span of 5 seconds. The Johnson family smashes headlong into a semi and are killed. And it takes 5 seconds for the event to unravel. But the story is splayed across 28 pages, and it's only the first part. It's insane. It is absolutely crazy. And the narrative voice in the story acknowledges that they are speaking through words and pictures to a viewer that's reading a comic book. This is my shit.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely deserve the award for most freedom with the way they depict the story. They
Right.
definitely just do whatever they feel like doing, which is pretty distinctive in today's market.
And essentially, like every issue that has preceded this one, the Ice Cream Man is just an exercise in creative storytelling. It's a writer challenging themselves to approach storytelling from a variety of different angles and shackling themselves with cumbersome things that they have to write around. Right? They're writing themselves into a corner. How am I going to get out of this? Or how can I approach the storyline if this happened? Or what if, like that's, it's pure creativity. And, one of the deceased is a 9-year-old boy named Tommy Jr. and he's reading a comic book in the car. So as the car smashes into the truck, everything slows down. Obviously, it's extremely decompressed, and you see glass flying and teeth in the air, and the comic book goes flipping. And Prince actually says decompression is a storytelling technique where events are spread out over a long period of time, and he just runs with it. It's the audacity to do a 5-second event over 28 pages and then continue it to the next issue. It's ballsy. It's brave. I love it. And other than one sequence where one of the characters meets someone who may or may not be God, and that character's flanked by one of the staple characters in Ice Cream Man, it's the Spider. That's the only tie that it has at this point to what has come before. It's just a self-contained daddy screwed up, smashed into a truck, and everybody died. And you get character studies of the father, memories leading up to that point, how his track record with women, and how he met the wife, and how she received him, and what happened to her before, and flashes of what may be or what could have been. It's insane. And my telling you about it is pale in comparison to what you'll get from this book if you actually read it, because these are just words. This stuff kind of connects on a level that goes beyond language, right? I say that all the time, but it's not a cop-out. Everyone has a fear of dying in some nasty way, right? Well, just picture yourself the last 5 seconds of your life. What happens? Does your life flash in front of your eyes for some of these characters? Yeah, it kind of does. But they've only been alive less than, 13 years. How much of their life is there experienced, right? But then it goes into somewhere else where the son was gay, but didn't know it or didn't express it, but in his pseudo afterlife sees what his life could have been had he not died. It's brilliant. It's beautiful, brilliant, disturbing, and all that stuff. Ice Cream Man 39. I absolutely love this book. I can't express how much this book means to me. Yeah.
Gotta try and get him on the show.
Oh, I would be Chris Farley.
Okay.
Remember that time when you did the
assignment? Let's get it.
You did the 5-second thing and you spread it across 2 issues, man. Remember that? Yes, that was awesome. Yeah, everybody should be reading this book.
There you go.
Yep.
I respect your passion for it.
I know. It's so disturbing.
Ay.
What else do we have?
I was I mentioned this on the Slack not too long ago, but it's been something that I wanted to at least mention on the show because I especially after we finished If You Find This I'm Already Dead, after enjoying McDaid's art there, I went back to Kneel Before Zod, which is written by Joe Casey, illustrated by Dan McDaid, colors by David Barron, and after reading the first issue, which was fine, and I figured I'll catch up after a few issues, and I did, and it's been a hell of a ride because the first issue where Lore, Zod, and Ursa's son, entitled Prick, who feels like he's basically whatever Dad's up to, he feels like he should absolutely be aware of, and whatever Dad's doing in secret, he needs to be told about, and so he's feeling himself, and he actually tries to heat vision Dad, which doesn't go well for him, and Dad actually is like, Zod banishes him, and he's like, as my firstborn, it's time for you to make something of yourself, and it's not going to be given to you, and he basically casts him out, and which is where the Sinister Sons story, I guess, takes off about, like, I guess after he's exiled, but the Kuns are going to attack New Kandor because Zod is building a weapon of massive power, and the Kuns want it, so they're going to attack New Kandor and take it. And there's a reason why and how they're aware of this weapon, which I thought was pretty much just laid out for you as after you've read the first couple of issues, and it actually is the reason how they find out, which is fine, but everything leading up to, because I've only read up to the first 5 issues, the 6th issue isn't out yet, but during these 5 issues, you have this war on New Kandor, which doesn't really go on for long, and Ursa and Zod do a real good job of keeping them at bay until the Kuns fire missiles into the sun, basically turning it red temporarily. So now Zod and Ursa are powerless, and are getting the crap beat out of them, and basically as we end up with Zod, who is not only kind of losing his mind because he keeps talking to Jor-El, and even though Jor-El isn't there, and Eradicator's even like, bro, who are you talking to? Like, there's nobody. Are you okay? Because there's nobody in this room except you. And Zod just kind of pushes it in the back of his mind. So he's losing that a little bit. He's lost his son. He loses, basically he loses his planet after the attack. He's really not in a good place. So he goes and he attacks the Kuns, and that in a way where even he doesn't, if he sacrifices himself, basically it's a kamikaze mission. If he ends up also killing himself in the process, so be it. And after he does what he does and destroys the ship and everybody on it, and he's basically he's burned. He's a skeleton with some muscle attached to it, and he gets picked up by a prison ship, which nurses him back to health. And we get a nice little flashback with a young Drew Zod in the 5th issue, as well as a young Jor-El. And what I appreciate about what Casey's doing is, so not only there's the connection, because Zod is as old as Jor-El, but he's also an enemy of Superman. And the way Casey is telling this story, similar to the way, because for years we always thought, or many of us thought, that, like, for example, Spider-Man's greatest enemy or most ruthless, lethal foe would likely be Green Goblin, or at least Norman Osborn, when it actually, because the only person who really kind of took him down was Doc Ock. And you could say Luthor, even Brainiac, could be Superman's greatest nemesis, but if done right, done well, Zod is kind of the other side of that coin, and it is almost the opposite of Superman, with as ruthless and as lethal and as unforgiving as he is. But so now we've got Zod kind of, he's obviously, he knows the father and he knows the son. But the 5th issue, once Zod realizes that when he kind of comes back to life and he leaves the medical bay that is keeping him alive, and the prison ship he's on, they're all, I'm not familiar with this race, but they kind of look like whatever Brainiac's race is. They look like that, except they have one eye, kind of like on a tentacle coming out of the middle of their forehead. It's a weird looking alien race, but they all kind of look like Vril-Drox. And Zod is making his way on this ship, and ends up kind of taking over the ship. And because it is a prison ship, and he realizes that there are a whole lot of people that can kind of just, he can have them kneel before him. And that's kind of where we end the 5th issue, where he kind of takes over the ship, he releases the prisoners, and now he has a Legion of Zod. So I can't wait to see where we go from here. It took a minute to get to this point, but man, he's been dealt many heavy blows leading up to this, and it's a little weird that I'm kind of rooting for Zod here, but I as far as the way it's presented here, kind of really hasn't done anything wrong, and he's getting attacked, and he's just, it's been nonstop, and I know that I kind of just want to see. I don't know if he's going to continue to unravel. I don't know if he's going to get better, but whatever Casey and McDaid want to do to continue telling this story, I'll keep checking it out, especially if we get some flashbacks here and there with his younger self, and if he keeps talking to Jor-El. I want to see where that goes. But I said, after the first issue, where I kind of was just going to, like, okay, cool, I'll get back to this whenever I get back to it. But after shotgunning the following 4 issues, it's way better than I gave it credit after reading only the first issue. So I was quite pleased, and it's the art's a little slicker here than his book with Kint. I really liked I'm Already Dead, and the lines are here. You could tell it's McDaid, but it's just a little bit. I don't want to say polished because it's not like he wasn't good before. It's just it's a little bit more. Like I said, it's glossier here on the DC side of things, but it's way better than I thought it was going to be. I'm really impressed with the story they're telling, especially with a character like Zod. And I don't know if this is like a Tom King kind of book where it's kind of like skirting the edges of continuity and whatever's happening here, it just happens here, or if what actually happens here is in continuity. And if so, I feel for whoever is going to be in Zod's way from here on out, because I don't know how he's going to come back from what he's had to go through in these early issues of this series so far. Brainiac is a Kaluan. That's what I didn't want to pronounce. I didn't want to mispronounce it. I was thinking Kolu, but yeah, Kolu. Yes,
he's a colon.
Yeah, that's almost what I said, which is why I should have just said that and just been done with it. But thank you, yeah, because that's going to play into my new travels later. But yeah, thank you.
Indeed.
What you got, Jason?
Well, here's the thing, Vince.
Oh,
I'm going to talk about two different OGNs together because I think they make for an interesting juxtaposition.
Wow.
Those two books are Eden 2, written and drawn by K. Wroten, Wroten, published by Fantagraphics. And the other is The Great Beyond, written and drawn by Leah Murawiec, published by Drawn and Quarterly. Very different books in many ways, but I thought it'd be interesting to talk about them both. I mean, in fairness, I read them both recently, but I thought, because Eden 2, if anyone's not familiar, you can Google it or what have you after this. It is an incredibly well-produced physical product. It is so beautiful that even if I thought this book was abject shit, I would be happy to have it on my shelf. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's not quite, well, maybe it's not quite square bound, but it's close to that. It's a big book. It's 450 some pages, so it's really big and thick. But they encased the whole thing in a plastic sleeve. So instead of a slipcase, there's a clear plastic sleeve that slips over the top and just protects and covers the book. It's gorgeous. It's just beautifully, as an object, a physical object, it is beautiful. And the story is bold. If people are wondering, well, why I didn't read Eden 1? Well, there's no Eden 1. It's Eden 2 has got nothing to do with it's not a sequel for anything. And it's set in a reasonably close by future where everybody lives in an immersive virtual reality. So again, he's not really breaking any new ground, right? It's your Matrix or Brains in a Vat, whatever you want to, whatever story you want to say. We've seen that concept before, but where it both gets interesting and I would argue somewhat fails is that apparently this Wroten guy is quite the polymath. Like he's a super academic person that's into lots and lots of highly academic, esoteric interests, right? And he apparently is a huge believer in this concept of a monadic existence. And I'm not even sure I fully understand it, but like a monad is people that are into computer science or math. I mean, it's a calculus term. As a math concept, it was invented by Pythagoras, if I'm not mistaken. So it's old school. But it has come to mean, through its mathematical intent, but to more broadly mean basically the sum of something being what you're perceiving now and all future instances of it. And in this case, I think that Wroten was going for a story where he comments on and shows us and takes twists and turns into this idea of he calls a monadic existence, where your reality is the sum of the thing you're doing right now and all potential existences. It's a deep concept, and it's one, like I said, I'm not even fully sure I understand where he's coming from with all this. But that's where the book, I think, somewhat fails, in that I give him immense credit for trying to do a really thoughtful, deep dive into something that probably could only be done in comics, given its complexity. I think that's pretty neat, and I applaud him for it, and I enjoyed it. But I think that he wasn't ready for the task. It's the book is all over the place in tone and pacing and approach, and sometimes it's linear, sometimes it's not. And again, those in and of themselves aren't necessarily a condemnation, but I don't think he holds it together. I think it's like he puts the clay on the spinning wheel and is making a beautiful vase, and then goes to answer the delivery guy at the door and comes back and the whole thing's flung all over the walls. Like, I think that's kind of what happened there. And the reason I wanted to juxtapose it against The Great Beyond is that I think in many ways The Great Beyond is a far simpler, far less bold, far more expected story, but I think is executed flawlessly. And so I think it succeeds because it's a book that I want everybody to read, or I'm not sure I would tell anybody to read Eden 2. And I think sometimes less is more, I guess, is what I came away with reading these two books together. Leah Murawiec, she's French, but I believe it's some kind of Slovakian, I believe, last name. In this story, it's centered around a woman named Manel Nair, and she's got a good life. Like, she's just a pretty chill, introverted person. She has a job that she doesn't particularly care about, to the point where when something goes awry, she just walks away, says, I quit. She just takes jobs as she needs them. She's never really worried about things. She lives in a little one bedroom efficiency apartment, but is perfectly happy. She has no interest in going out. She just likes being small, like she's totally comfortable with it. But unfortunately for her, in this world that she lives in, your health is directly tied to your presence. The more people that know you and think about you, the healthier you are. The fewer people that do, the iller you get, to the point where you can actually die. And she has another problem, because her name, Manel Nair, also happens to be the same name of a massive pop star, aka like a Taylor Swift. And the problem, you might ask, is, well, lots of people are thinking about Manel Nair, but when they're thinking about the pop star, and it's directly taking away from our character, Manel, the civvy, and her health. So she starts getting deathly ill. And the doctors start telling her that her treatment plan are things like going clubbing 5 days a week, making more social media posts, going out to meet family for dinner, like all these things that are about basically just getting your social graph, that we call it here in this real world that we live in, up. And it's just basically a modern day folk tale about kind of taking what we're currently living with, our obsession with social media, to the extremes, where it actually becomes the foundation for our existence and our health. And she goes from nearly dead to, through a bunch of circumstances I won't get into, very, very healthy, and then has to make a decision as to whether she wants to chase immortality, which is achievable in this. And maybe there's a monkey's paw aspect to being immortal in this world where fame is everything. And it's just really well done, really well executed. Her art style is very flowy, like single black line, like brush, but like uneven weight, but real, like there's a lot of movement in all the pages. There's like a graphic design element to it, and that the figures are somewhat sharp, like thick, sharp lines. And then most of it's black and white, but then Leah uses primary colors occasionally, and they pop, and it very much in a few instances had like a Mondrian feeling to me, the way that the color palette played out on the page. But yeah, really, really great. So definitely highly recommend The Great Beyond, a very understandable commentary on our current social strata, and I think right on the nose, but executed well. And then Eden 2 is a far more challenging book, which some of you may be exactly what you're looking for. I'm not mad to have read it, but I do think it was a legitimate challenge to get through all 450 plus pages and come away with any kind of strong feeling one way or the other.
I see a lot of Dash Shaw in Leah's work.
Yeah, I could see that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Good call.
These look good, both of them.
Yeah. No, well, again, like Eden 2 is a great experience. I mean, I think you get a lot out of it as a storyteller. I think he tries to take big leaps, make big choices. And nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? So,
right. Maybe the scattershot events play into the whole multiple, the permutations.
Yeah,
of,
like I
of
said,
the,
I think they do at some points. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's like you see the kernels here of a incredibly layered, nuanced storyteller.
Yeah.
And I guess he did another book called Cannonball, which I'm not familiar with, which I think was well received before this. This is his follow-up to that, apparently. But I'm not familiar with the first one, so. Nice.
Look at that. Left field stuff. I love it when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Hey, thank you for listening to this. We'll be back next time. But in the meantime, save yourself some money. Don't be silly. Go to cheapgraphicnovels.com where you can get all the stuff you want. Omnibus editions, manga, OGNs, trade paperbacks for a fraction of the price. And here's the secret. You probably already know it, but in case you don't, I'm going to do you a solid and tell you can save even more money. Reply to the email confirmation for your order telling Max that 11 O'Clock Comics sent you, and you will be given free shipping on your second order. It's crazy. Save, save, save. Oh, wait, before you leave, save some more. Nuts. cheapgraphicnovels.com. Patreon.com/11 O'Clock Comics. Check out our page. Hope you join us. Join the Slack. Become one of the family, and then you'll never get rid of us, ever. We're like the thing that wouldn't leave ×3. And don't forget about that Apple Podcast review. Do that. Give us one of them. In your travels, let's see what I have on my list. Oh, I should have spoken on this as my main thing, but the masterful Ice Cream Man kind of kicked it a little bit. But this book was unbelievable. It's another miniseries in the Witcher series. This one's called Corvo Bianco. It's the first issue written by, I'm going to butcher this name, Bartosz Zibor, is it?
You're asking, I mean, I don't know either. I can't, yeah.
Yeah, but the art by Corrado Mastrantonio is absolutely jaw-dropping. It is amazing art.
Yep.
You get to see when the book opens, Geralt's retired, in quotes. He's been given an estate on a vineyard, and he spends his time just making wine.
Doing his best Picard.
Right, just making wine. You get to see a little bit of Geralt in Witcher mode because one of his buddies says, hey, I got these things plaguing my vineyard. Can you go in and take care of it? And so he makes with the chop. But as expected, Yennefer shows up and they bang it out. Yes. Mm-hmm. But the art's absolutely impeccable. I don't want to say it's too good for a Witcher book, but it's almost too good for a Witcher book.
I'd agree with that.
It's stunning in every respect. It's old school, great figure drawing, amazing costumery and architecture and monsters, and it is just stunning. Wow.
I read this solely because you had it on the list.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Same.
I know we got a review copy, and I'm like, let me see what this is about. And then I was gobsmacked, and I'm definitely going to keep reading this for sure.
It's just so beautiful, so beautiful.
Have you read any of the previous trades?
Oh yeah, I read them all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I keep up with The Witcher. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm not current on the Netflix show. I haven't even finished a spinoff, but so I just jumped in on this without knowing what the connection is. If I should have read any of the previous stories, if they're all standalone or whatnot, but this was very, very good.
Yes. Lightning round. Remember, I got another one. This is 2000 AD, Prague 2382. Talk about long running, right? Occasionally, you get a sweet spot in 2000 AD where a number of serials reset. Because they go for like 8, 12, sometimes more chapters. So it's sometimes difficult to get a issue of 2000 AD that has more than one first chapter, right? In this case, you get 2. There's a first chapter of a Dread story that I believe is set on Dead World. But that's not why I want you to... It's one of the reasons why. That's not the main reason why I want you to read this. There is a new serial called Intestinauts, drawn by written by Arthur Wyatt. These are robots that were designed to aid in human digestion. Wacky little robots. futuristic cityscapes, eye-searing color. Who would you think, based on current events, would be the perfect artist to draw this? Well, I'll tell you.
Don't know.
It is illustrated by Pi Par from Petrolhead.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it is astounding. It's the story's, it's slight, it's fun, but the real joy of this thing are the visuals. Like, Pi just chews up every page. All these little robots doing their thing, and you get another robot that's a combination of these massive, it's so good. The colors are gorgeous. Yeah, Pi Par's in 2000 AD. There's been 2 chapters to date, 2382 and 2383. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't care. I'm in. I love it. Yes. Let me check my list, see what else I have to get off here. Dap, I finished the Ms. Tree trade, Volume 1.
Oh, what'd you think?
Yeah, it was awesome. Just another example of why Max Allan Collins and Terry Beattie are a phenomenal creative team. Like, what more do you need to know? I didn't know. I stopped with Mystery at a certain point. These are the DC books.
It starts, for some reason.
Yeah, I've never
DC stuff.
I never read these, but
Yep.
She gets pregnant, and it is the child of her high school crush who used her, manipulated her into killing his wife, and he died in the process. So now she's bearing this child from a man who's no longer alive. Her husband was murdered by the Muerta family, her arch rivals. Her son is in a relationship with a Muerta. Like, it's crazy how Max Allan Collins just shuffles the pieces on the playing field. But it's great. And, I loved it. I thought it was wonderful. It is one of those hard-boiled crime comics that I think is head and shoulders above most of those books of that genre. Max Allan Collins is just an incredible writer. Terry Beattie's a great artist. He can titillate you without showing you too much flesh, which I think is a real skill, right? And I just think it's great how Ms. Tree has to reluctantly cozy up to the new head of the Muerta family, who's a scumbag, but not really. Like, he's dirty, but he doesn't want to be. He wants to operate the family on legit terms, and so he's doing everything he can to be a relatively good guy, but he's still a scumbag. But he has some kind of I think maybe it's a motherly attraction to her, or brotherly. I don't know what it is, but he won't screw with her because now she's family, because her stepson is involved with the Muerta. So now she's off limits. Where before that, they were rabid enemies. Like, it's just amazing how you can inject a little wrinkle into a common trope and make it vibrant and alive and new. It's great. Ms. Tree, Volume 1 from Titan Books, Max Allan Collins, Terry Beattie. The only thing I don't know is why these books are so frigging expensive.
Maybe it's the glossy paper. I don't know.
Yeah, but they're like not weird. Digest sized, but they're low form factor.
Yeah, they have a
but
nice
they're like
to them,
$25. Like, what?
Are they really?
Yeah. And then you get in the back Max Allan Collins talking about how close Ms. Tree came to being made into either a film or a series, and why it didn't. And it's just a boatload of extra information along with really great storytelling. Really great.
Mm-hmm. So I've only done the 3 trades so far, I think, right?
I think
those are the only 3 I have.
I think maybe 4. Yeah, I think it's 4. I think totally there's going to be either 5 or 6. But they're in a minute. They're so good. Like, if I got to get the next, they're worth $25. But in terms of the presence, like, I think they're underselling. They should be regular sized. In my mind.
They should be,
yeah. But whatever. I love it.
It was so weird to see them end up at DC.
Yeah. And they're extra long issues, too. Like, each issue is like 60-some pages. They're crazy long. Yeah, it's great. Michael's a hoot. I love her. There you go.
That's good. Yeah, I need to see. All right. Yeah, because I'm looking at, so Cheap Graphic Novels has, that's Volume 1. Okay, yeah, it looks like one. All right, I see 5 on your site. Okay, so I teased the real docs mention a few minutes ago because this is more for the backup, although continuing the House of Brainiac in Action Comics, where the main story is Superman and Lobo chasing after the other, and the art by Raph Sandoval is absolutely amazing. Written by Josh Williamson. The Superman and Lobo are chasing down the Zarians who kidnapped Superman's family and are racing out through space. While that's happening inside Brainiac's ship, John and Kara have escaped the miniaturized pods that Brainiac was holding them in, and they end up freeing Parasite and Livewire so they can try to take over the ship, even though they are both powerless at the moment. And while that's happening, actually, it's not just Rafa Sandoval on the art. It's also Miguel Mendonça. But we have the main thing. What I appreciated about, first of all, this when Superman and Lobo end up catching up to the Zarians, they catch them on Hardcore Station, and the reason they stop at Hardcore Station is because Lobo knows somebody who can get them information, and that person is none other than flippin' Space Cabbie. And so we have a Space Cabbie appearance, which I haven't seen in ages. Lobo shakes him down for info, but he doesn't really need it because the Zarians end up confronting Superman and Lobo, and when Shakal, the leader, is talking to Lobo, he's basically telling Lobo, "Listen, I need you to take over for me, and to show you I need you to show me you mean business. So take out Superman," and that's where the issue ends. But the backup is what made this kind of worthwhile, because Brainiac's son, Vril Dox, is confronted by some Zarians and is brought to his father, and so the little backup is called Brainiac and Son, and Brainiac is going to take his son back to Kolu, even though Vril's like, "It's gone. You helped destroy it. It's I don't understand what the hell is happening." He ends up going into a holding cell where Lyral and Indigo and his mother are also being held prisoner, and that's where the little backup ends and will be continued. But instead of just a straightforward little Brainiac versus Superman story, we've got a bunch of other things going on, and that's I had no idea Josh Williamson had tricks like this up his sleeve, but it's pretty neat to see. So yeah, in your travels, Action Comics 1065 Part 3 of House of Brainiac, which we'll be wrapping up shortly. So yeah, I have the two tie-ins to read as well. But that was it was quite an interesting turn of events in this particular chapter. But instead of messing with the speed round, I'll leave it at that and let Jason take it away.
Well, I think I speak for everyone in saying it's about damn time that we heard how you're feeling about the Superman books. So thank you for that. Appreciate
You're
that
welcome.
update. I was
My pleasure.
It's been ages.
It's a
I
chain.
know you're worried.
Yes, I was. So, speaking of things that have been discussed in other incarnations, Beowulf,
Oh,
which is arguably the greatest story that doesn't have a credited author. Fair to say?
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
When you put it that way, I guess, yeah.
For you Cro-Magnons who don't know what Beowulf is, it is an ancient, very long form poem, poetic story about a mead hall that needs defense from a creature named Grendel. Yes, which is where Daps Boo gets the name Grendel from. That's the inspiration. And it's been done in many interpretations. For me, the most memorable would be David Rubin's adaptation over in Europe from probably 10 years ago now. But we got a new one, and it's incredibly wonderfully cute. And I say cute because it is a children's book. It is a graphic novel, but intended to be read for children, suitable for children, I should say. And it is called Bea, as in Bea, Wolf. Get it? Bea Wolf. Get it? Wink, wink. It is published by our good friends at First Second, written by Zack, Weinersmith, and art by Boulet. And it is exactly what you think it is. It is a modern children's adaptation of Beowulf. But it's done so cleverly because it's not just like Weinersmith doesn't just take the story and they draw it to look friendlier to kids. No. He reimagines it. And in this world, it's not a mead hall and warriors. It's not a monster. It is children. Children are in the neighborhood they're all together. They play games. They hoard candy. They celebrate being a kid in all the ways possible, and eventually build a beautiful, gigantic treehouse called Treeheart, and they have shenanigans there all the time. There is a king, and at one point the king turns into a teenager and has to leave forever, go to their effective Valhalla, and a new king is formed. Well, the Grendel in this book is a man named Mr. Grindel, who is a middle-aged corporate dweeb who hates fun and is all about rules. And his power, as Grendel, is to go through and ransack, and any of the children he touches, he launches them into adolescence, thus effectively killing them. And we go through this until we meet Bea Wolf, a young little precocious girl who is fed up with the fact that the wonderful kidland is no longer vibing, and she goes out to take on Mr. Grindel. And if you've ever read Beowulf or familiar with the story, you probably guess how it goes. It's just really delightful, man. The art has Boulet's art to me has Tony Sandoval vibes, but more like if Tony Sandoval had a crazy weekend hanging out with some chibi girls. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a Morpheus between that, but really beautiful stuff. Exaggerated anatomy, real giant big heads, big eyes. That's why I said it reminded me of Sandoval, but totally works for the setting because it's mostly about kids and just super jam-packed splash pages full of kids and all kinds of shenanigans and just living that life. And this is pretty much just, a treatise on the magic of being a child and how we largely lose that and are completely taken away from it by adolescence when we start worrying about real world stuff. And then eventually we become adults and have to do quote unquote adulting and oftentimes forget how to have fun completely. So just clever, simple, well executed. That's my theme for the night.
What kind of girls did you say?
What kind of girl? Chibi girls.
Chibi.
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 Oh, okay, chibi. I got you. Okay. I thought it was like a term that I. Yeah.
Oh no, sorry, chibi. Yeah.
Got you. I thought you said cheaty. All right, sounds good. Hey everybody, glad you were here. Come back next time. We'll be here waiting for you with a drink, maybe a sandwich, finger food. Who knows? In the meantime, get yourselves to a comic book shop, buy a whole mess of comics, keep the industry alive, and talk about them. You want to do that. And then come back here, and we'll talk to you about some more. It's a magic circle. Step into it. Say goodnight. What's his name, fellas? What's his name? Boop. David.
Good night.
I love the word fellas. Hey, fellas.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great one. You don't like it?
Hey.
Nice.
Love it.
You don't like fellas, Jason?
I'm down for fellas. Yeah.
Yeah, fellas is a good word. It's a brotherly word. What's up, fellas?
Listen, Goodfellas, one of the best movies of all time.
Cosign.
Yep.
And we'll be seeing a bunch of our fellas in little more than, 3 weeks? Less than 3 weeks?
And our ladies, too.
And ladies. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yes, it's true. So if you're going to Heroes, just look for Jason. He will be wearing the Identa beanie with a long flag on the top of it. So you'll be able to find us with the Identa beanie.
Love you.
That's it for that one.